Okay guys, so these double doors are where you come out after going through customs and immigration and having your luggage x-rayed when you first land. As soon as you come out, to your right will be all the car rental places. So you've got Europe Car, Alamo, Hertz, and a taxi service. This is in Oaxaca. And then if you keep going out, there's actually the actual exit where I'm going to go because I've got someone picking me up. There's some restaurants here and some restrooms. It's a very small airport for the size of this city. I'm actually very surprised about it. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the cab prices by region, but I'll check it out and I'll go over with you guys later how to do the customs and immigration form, and I'll explain the whole process. This was a very slow process. It took about 1 hour just to clear one flight of passengers, which is very slow. I mean, very, very slow. All right, guys. Bye.
Okay, guys. So basically, this is a map of central Oaxaca, and it's divided in 2 zones. And on the left, there is a list of all the hotels, the major hotels that the cabs go to. So I'm going to do a close-up here in a second with a list of all the hotels so you can see them closer. And that'll give you an idea of what zone you are and how much you're going to pay and what's better for you. All right, so this is the close-up. These are all the hotels. If you have to pause it, pause it. Again, it's not in any order except for by zone. So there's zone 1 and 2. Now, I'll explain in a moment the different prices in the next segment. But for now, if you can't see your hotel here, it's either really new or it's not one of the major hotels there is. So if that happens, make sure you have your hotel address. And in that case, you're going to have to take a special one and figure out what zone you're in. You can ask the cab driver. Okay, guys, so these are the tariffs or the prices per zone. And it's also divided in 2 sections, and I'll explain that here in a moment. So basically, you've got on the top, it says Colectivo Zona 1, which is Collective Zone 1, and Colectivo Zona 2, which is Collective Zone 2. So Colectivo means that it's a cab or sometimes a minivan that you're going to share with other passengers that aren't necessarily in your group. So if you're all going to a certain hotel in Zone 1 and there's another group of people going to a certain hotel in Zone 1, what they'll do is you buy that one, and it's the cheaper price. Obviously, the Zone 1 is 90 pesos, which is like, I don't know, $4.50. And the Zone 2 is 140 pesos, which is probably $7.50, close to almost $8, maybe a little less than $8. But anyhow, so say you're traveling with you and your significant other, you're going to have to wait until the van fills up or the cab fills up. So they're going to wait, if it's a small cab, probably for 3 more people, or if it's a van, for 8 or however more people. And that saves you money, but you have to wait. And then if you're like the furthest hotel, you got to wait for them to drop everyone off before they drop you off. So, I mean, it is a good way to save money and travel on a budget. It just takes a little more time, especially if you're tired from being on the road. So that's per person. It says right there, por persona. Now, the next section is Especial Zona 1, which is Special Zone 1, and Especial Zona 2, which is Special Zone 2. So that means the cab is yours. Even if you're traveling by yourself, you're just going to take it. And it says por servicio at the bottom instead of por persona. That means per service. So that means they will take you anywhere in Zone 1, right there it is, for $3.50, or anywhere in Zone 2, which is $4.80. So if you, like I mentioned earlier, if you have one of those hotels and they're not on the list because it's either new or it's just not one of their higher end hotels and they don't list them, you got to figure out, show your address to the guy that sells the tickets for the cab, because you pay for this ahead of time. You don't pay the cab driver ever. You pay ahead of time right there at the counter where these prices are, and he'll be like, oh, okay, you're in zone 1 or you're in zone 2. And you just go to the cab, they'll give the address to the cab driver, and they'll take you where you need to go. Now, another thing to consider is if your hotel is not in zone 1 or zone 2 because maybe you didn't know where you were booking, or you tried to go the cheaper route and you booked outside of central Oaxaca. So there's still a lot more of Oaxaca, but it's not really Oaxaca, it's municipalities that are outside. And technically they're part of Oaxaca, but they're their own municipality. Kind of like New York with Brooklyn and Queens and all that. So, if you think about it, you've got to really check, because this could be a really expensive deal if you're outside of zone 1 and zone 2. Because basically you're at the mercy of them charging whatever they want, because there is no established tariff or price. And I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do, but in that case, it would probably be better to try to see if you can get a cab outside of the airport, which can be dangerous sometimes at night, I've been told. Sometimes there's cabs sitting right outside, you got to walk. Or probably, I guess, just bite the bullet and pay the price. But this is basically your cab breakdown for when you land in Oaxaca. If you're taking a cab to your hotel or to someone's address, make sure if it's not one of the major hotels on this video that's on that list that they have, you get the address so that you can look up what zone you're in. All right, guys, thanks for listening.